Hello everybody, this is Sonny from Think to Win, and I'm bringing you my long overdue Phantom Blaster Overlord deck profile. Firstly, I will start out with the starter, the full bow. It's our best starter as of right now, since we don't have the Creeping Goat, that's only in Japanese. For those of you who don't know, the Creeping Goat is the basic grade 3 searcher, but it's a lot more consistent than this one, who needs Blaster Javelin to be ridden over it, so that we can get a free Blaster Dark. Unfortunately, if we don't ride the Blaster Javelin, then it's just a vanilla starter, just like something like this, and that's hardly useful. So let's go on to the triggers. Firstly, I am running the standard 8 crit build with 4 draws and 4 heals. This is a pretty standard setup, and I am going with this one because I find critical triggers to be much more consistent with the deck than stand triggers, which I hardly find useful, since they don't really hit high numbers. Even if you stand up even a Masquerade, it will only hit for 17, and if your opponent is already cross-ridden, then that's like basically nothing. Then my grade 1 lineup is 4 javelins. The reason for running 4 javelins is that firstly you want to get full bow off, and in the rear guard this card is still useful, because if you call it, you can throw out any grade 3 like a Phantom Blaster Dragon. In order to get a Phantom Blaster Dragon like that, you thin out the grade 3s in your deck, meaning that your drive checks will most likely will show something useful. Then I am running 4 perfect guards, since I believe that 4 perfect guards is necessary in everything right now because of the limit breakers, and you really don't want to get hit by an Overlord the end, and then it gets to stand up again because you just couldn't guard, and that is really unfortunate, because like that, from that point on, if he trigger checks anything useful, you will have a hard time in the match. Then I'm running 4 8k beat sticks. They are pretty standard, and I'm only running them so that I can hit high numbers against cross rides as well. Then I am running 2 Nightmare Painters. They are really good to get cards in the soul. For example, like you have to ride Phantom Blaster Overlord first. Then if you call a Nightmare Painter, you can soul charge, let's say, the Phantom Blaster Dragon, and like that you already have your cross ride off, even if you have missed the ride, or you have both of them in the hand with a painter, you can get an early cross ride, and that's one of the best combos in the deck in my opinion, since Phantom Blaster Overlord alone is not as pushy as the other cross ride, Overlord the end right now. So his strong point is that he can get the cross ride off very easily. Now onto the grade 2s. I am running 1 SP Blaster Dark and a normal one, basically because I didn't pull another SP one, and I'm running 2 because it's sometimes good to ride it even if you don't get the Javelin off, because like that your Phantom Blaster Dragon can be 11k. Otherwise, if it's 10, everything will hit it much more easily. The 1k is good for guarding. Then I am running 1 SP Masquerade and 3 normal ones, altogether 4. I am running them because they can hit for 12 alone, which can hit most of the opponent's Vanguards, and basically even if you have to put a Nightmare Painter or a Javelin in the rear guard, they can still hit for 18, which hurts even cross rides. That's why. Then I am running 2 Rugos, basically because they are rare. That's why I am single R, that's why they are more shiny, and that's why I'm only running them instead of attacking 1 Rugos and the other 10k beat whose name I forgot right now. Then I am running 1 SP Neman and 2 normal ones. The reason why I'm running 3 Nemans is basically out of personal preference. I like counterblasting one, throwing out a useless card, especially in late game when your field is full and you don't want grade 3s in your hand like Phantom Blaster Dragon, because it's not that good a rear guard either. So you just throw it out, get 2 cards, and more often than not they will be useful, and once you use Neman you can intercept with it and replace her with something much better. Then, because of the Nemans, I am only running 1 Maka, basically because she's counterblast heavy, and it's 2 counterblast, you get any grade 1. It's good for field setup, but I just personally prefer the Neman because late game Neman is more useful than Maka, due to the fact that if you have a field setup, especially if a half good setup with, like, let's say a Phantom Blaster Dragon and boosted by anything that's good like a Charon, you're not going to wait for the opponent to try and kill your dragon and then move your Charon forward so that you can ride the Maka over it. So you throw it out, you counterblast it, and then you can get another Charon out of it. Like that, I find it hardly useful, especially if you have something better than a Phantom Blaster Dragon, like a Masquerade. Now, on to my grade 3 setup. I am running 3 Phantom Blaster Dragons, one of them is SP. I am only running 3 because they can be surged by Javelin, especially since for Javelin I can throw out a Phantom Blaster Overlord, since I usually don't use its personal blast, since it's usually blocked, and from the 3 counter blasts that it takes up I can probably use it for much more useful things like Maka or Nemans. Then I am running 2 SP Overlords and 2 triple R ones, basically because I want to get him as the Vanguard. Even as an 11k it's much better than having a 10k Phantom Blaster Dragon, and thanks to the Nightmare Painters I can soul charge the Dragon late game as well, so I can get my cross ride off. Basically, the other reason why I am running Overlord is because of the deck around it. Thanks to the Nightmare Painters and other cards, it's easy to get the cross ride off, unlike with Overlord the End, in which deck if you miss the ride then you're stuck with an 11k Overlord the End. It's a given that even the 11k Overlord the End is good because it can push your opponent to guard, since it can hit any rear guard as well, so that you counterblast 2, and throw out a copy of itself so that it can stand up and do another drive check. But I prefer Overlord, since it can get hand advantage easily with the Nemans and other cards in the deck, like I said before, the Nightmare Painters, the Javelins, and also the Nemans and the Makas. It's easy to set up the field, and it's a quite versatile deck, and that's the reason why I'm running it. So thank you for listening.